Hi everyone, this is Smarty Live. I'm Smarty. I'm the co-founder of Smarty Marketing. With me today and always April, our social media guru, Reddit marketer, infographic designer, all so many hats. I hope you will all be able to join and ask your questions. Today is an important topic that has been around for so many years, and it has always been cause of many problems, Fluff SEO advice, and all of that. So this has to be addressed, especially these days when we're still witnessing a new update from Google, which is very complicated and we don't have all the answers. So we ask Googlers, and those Googlers give us answers. And the tendency is that SEO community reacts to those tips that they provide us with in a scary way. So they interpret them either too directly, saying, hey, this is the checklist, this is what you need to be doing. Or they try to find a secret meaning behind whatever they are saying and write all those articles saying that's probably what they mean. In both cases, it's usually not healthy for the SEO context overall, because we see the flood of all those articles that really have nothing to do with how SEO works and what even Google has said. This has been around for so many years. It's nothing new. Yes, we ask Googlers for advice, and yes, they provide that advice back to us. Many years ago, when I started, there was Matt Cutts, and at that point, the advice was pretty much on point. Matt said exactly what he could, or he just ignored any other questions. So that was his strategy. And he would give very helpful technical SEO advice, including how to use nofollow, whether to use nofollow for internal links, how to structure your site, what links they want to see us attracting. So he was more or less on point. Of course, he didn't say much. He would never answer questions that he didn't have answers for. So it was easier. And even Google algorithm at that point was much more straightforward and easier as well. The problem that we are seeing today is that the algorithm is more than 20 years old, and it's juggling so many core ranking signals, including content, authority, trust, backlinks, usability, all of that. And I just named 5, but I think they said like hundreds at some point, and I totally believe them. And that's not just one piece of the algorithm, many hundreds of ranking signals that are there. There are many other layers. There is query interpretation that uses semantic and machine learning, semantic analysis. There is now helpful content system, which I think doesn't have direct signals at all. My suspicion is that helpful content is machine learning algorithm that takes all the human related signals, including quality raters feedback, click-through data, engagement data. All of that is pushed through some kind of AI or machine learning algorithm, and that's what is helpful content. So there's no one secret source to how it works, or one secret button that you can, hey, add this and you will be fine. So it's a combination. It's such a complicated combination of signals, and we cannot even reverse engineer them because, again, we didn't see any recovery yet from helpful content updates. So it's all very complicated, and it's natural that we go to Google and ask, hey, this is my site, it's helpful, how come it is not ranking? Should I add an author bio, or should I do something else? And there is no one answer to that. And for some reason, Googlers try to give us answers. They say, yes, your content is good, but for some reason your readers may not have been engaging with it so well. So prioritize those, maybe ask them, maybe have some data for how they heat maps or something like that. All of that can be used to really identify how people are interacting with your web pages and what is distracting to them and what they are struggling with. So that's probably a smarter approach to analyzing why you have been impacted by helpful content than going to Googlers and trying to ask them. They would love to help us. I really think they have a very, and I know Danny, and I've known Danny for so many years. I really believe he wants to be helpful and useful to the SEO community, but he just doesn't have those answers. And that's the problem. And when the recent, why actually I was inspired by this whole topic today is the recent statement from Danny. He was saying that, hey, prioritize your users and don't do something just because it's supposed to be a best SEO practice. For example, if you don't add a FAQ section at the bottom of your article just because you've heard that was a good idea from SEO standpoint, or don't add table of contents on top of your articles with jump to links just because you've heard that it was a best SEO practice. Do whatever you can to prioritize your users. And that is not helpful advice because let's face it, people started talking about, hey, should I remove this? Should I remove the FAQ section? Should I remove the table of contents on my jump to links? Is it a bad signal? Does Google think that I'm prioritizing SEO just because I have those sections? And the previous statement, I think that was John Mueller that said, who said that author bias are not a direct signal to Google. And suddenly there was like a flood of articles and social media updates telling, hey, don't bother about those author bylines, you can remove them, it's not a ranking signal. But it's not what he said. I think the one of the biggest things here, and I don't think no one really realizes that there is no single person, whether it's an SEO expert or even a Google engineer or anyone, whoever developed that algorithm, even he doesn't know at this point what exactly moved the needle when something is ranking higher on something, because there's such a complicated system of layers of all those different machine learning, core web signals, helpful content system, all of that is helping, is like contributing to one another and balancing one another. And that's how rankings are created. So there is no one answer. One thing to remember here is that SEO fundamentals are still there. And whether you want to prioritize your users or you just want to rank higher, SEO fundamentals are still very key to your rankings. That includes keyword research. And one of the funniest stories that happened, conversations on Twitter that happened a few months ago, was after one of those helpful content updates, there was a question on Twitter. Someone asked Google, how come this very useful site that I love going to and that has a huge community of people who loves content that they create, how they compare products or whatnot, how come it's not ranking? And the answer from Google was, well, there are no pages on that site that target those keywords. So you can prioritize your users, but you still need to know your keywords because that's how Google knows what this page is about. So this is still key. Relevant content is still key. Now we say not just relevant, but helpful. What means helpful for each particular keyword that you identified? So it should be responding to that query right away. In backlinks are still key, and there is a huge, very strong correlation between well-branded, very well-known domains with pages that have many backlinks. They go through helpful content updates or this core update much easier than smaller websites that were around for 2-3 years and saw that exponential SEO growth. Those are still helping. Like if you have trust and if you have authority, and that's what backlinks bring to your site, you will see much more consistent organic traffic. For one, because Google trusts your domain much more, and this is one component of every algorithm update. They need that trust, and that trust can overweigh all other negative signals that you may have, not so great usability, or maybe not as helpful content, but this is trust component that can overbalance those things. And the second thing is their rankings are much more diverse. On smaller websites, there are usually 5 to 10 traffic driving pages out of, let's say, 100. And if those pages are hit, then this decline is very dramatic. On bigger sites with more content, with more reputation, with more backlinks, the rankings tend to be much more diverse. So if they lose a little bit of that, there's a little decline, but it's never that dramatic. So it's still very important to get those external signals, and the right ones, those that cannot get you into trouble, and they are editorial and they are earned, basically. So that is still key. So all those three components that you can influence, basically keywords, content, and backlinks, they are still important. Now, the other thing is that usability, of course, it's very subjective. Some people may find a site very easy to use. Other people may find it confusing. So again, that's what I said previously. You can use heat maps to see the trends of what seems distracting on your pages. You can see it by yourself. Use your site by yourself, and see if there are any distractions that you can find, especially on mobile phones when the screen is much smaller. So it's usually much harder to get to a point when everything is clear. You see all the information that you need right away. So that is all important. So it's whatever Google say, whatever update is there at this point, your Google traffic is never permanent. And I think it's been like that for at least 15 years now. When we started, it was much more stable. So once you have those rankings, you may count on them for several years. It has not been the case for many years now. They fluctuate. Google is updating their algorithm on a regular basis. They find those hidden gems, whatever they call them. They introduce new sections to their search engine results, including people also ask, all those image video carousels. Now it's Reddit and discussions. So there are always something new introduced to search results as well. Featured snippets, all of those click stealing elements, they are constantly being changing and refreshed and introduced, and those also impact your organic traffic. So it will always fluctuate. Some updates will hit you, some updates will not hit you. Some competitors will get smarter and get more active, and they will replace you on top of Google. So it's never permanent at this point. And I think this is one of the things that is often being overlooked by so many website owners and businesses. You cannot count on organic search on a permanent basis. So that's also something I've been saying for many years. When you have your organic traffic, work on not just immediate sales, but also on developing some brand-owned asset that you can rely on in case you lose some of that traffic. For example, create a very engaging newsletter and do it on a regular basis, engage your customers that way, or create a community, on-site community of your most loyal customers. Introduce a rewards program that would entice people to come back to your site and for return, or referral program. So all of that is good to sustain a business while it's the organic traffic is on decline, and you still work on your SEO, because you will gain those rankings and that traffic back. Maybe you will find other keywords to rank for. Maybe you will update your pages or optimize them better, and they will start ranking again. So it's a continuous battle, but it's very well worth it, because when you SEO traffic is the best traffic. That's what drives growth always. In most cases, of course, there are exceptions, but in 90% of cases, SEO traffic is what grows your brand exponentially, but it's not permanent. And while you have that traffic, you have to develop some other ways to sustain your business in case you lose some of that traffic. So that's the SEO, the life cycle of SEO, and it has been around for many years. And two conclusions from this emotional speech is that whatever Google say, or Googlers say, it's not an action item. It's not a checklist. It's not anything to act upon, right now. It's for your information. You can take that advice. You can keep that in mind. but it's not an action item at all. What they're trying to say is that it's much more complicated than adding some separate section to your page. It's much more complicated than that. They don't have the answer. They don't know exactly what needs to be done. But that's what they are trying to tell us. So that is first. And second, and that is very relevant to today's update, because there are many sites and many legit sites that I'm seeing around losing a lot of organic traffic. And that is, it will come back. Slowly, it will not come back as quickly as you lost it, but it will come back unless you stop doing anything about that. So just continue building that content, continue updating old content, continue working on your backlinks, and it will gradually come back. And when it does come back, you've learned your lesson at this point. You have to use it to build something else, not just clicks to your affiliate links or maybe some immediate sales. Those are great, but you need something permanent to sustain you for the next time when you see some declines in organic traffic. And that was the gist of my newsletter. I do have a more detailed newsletter. I send it every Tuesday on LinkedIn. Please subscribe. If you go to my LinkedIn profile and scroll down, there will be Smarty Digest. That's the newsletter that is weekly. Every Tuesday, I discuss some of these topics and give some advice to those who are trying to grow their websites using SEO, or those who try to adapt their existing businesses to search trends, those curious how to use AI for SEO. All of that is in that newsletter, so please check it out. In April, I'm ready for your questions or contributions on that.
I just had like this imagery in my head while you were talking about like how SEO, like Googlers are like the navigators of a ship. They don't really even know what's going on the ocean, really. Like no one really does, but they're good at navigating it, but they don't know what's really going to happen or they can't predict the weather, because it's just so deep and complicated. And like the assets that you build, the genuine human-oriented assets like the newsletters and the communities, those are like islands that you can build that can keep you safe from like the storms. I don't know, it's just an
Exactly. And
image.
that was another great comment to my newsletter from Gabriella, that she said, building your business on just SEO traffic is like building a house on shifting sands.
Oh yeah, that's
So
beautiful.
it's nothing new. I know Google updates have become much more complicated because they are implementing something that they themselves cannot control. Usually that's AI or machine learning components that interpret human signals in the way no one knows exactly what they're doing. And that is not just one algorithm. There are quite a few at this point. Some of them analyze queries, some of them analyze on-page content. So all of those are not under anyone's control. So it's much more complicated these days. But one thing hasn't changed. It's if you keep moving, you will get everything back. Maybe not to the levels where it used to be, but now you're much smarter. You know how to satisfy your searches. You're working on your permanent asset that would help you expand and survive. So it will be back. The only thing is that so many people give up and just close their businesses and start new sites even, which sometimes is a good idea, but not in 90%. If you haven't been really spamming, if you haven't been like, I don't know, really a black hat SEO and your site was penalized, maybe at that point you may start a new one. But if you were just a blogger and you were a very legit business and you've literally have not doing, you've been doing all of the right things, but still you were impacted by some of the updates, that's okay. We've all gone through that. We've all been there, and we most of us came back just because we didn't stop. And this is the key strategy to SEO. You just keep moving.
That's just the nature of digital marketing and SEO. You just got to keep adapting and trying new things and just keep going. The internet's always changing, so
I've seen so many bloggers who said, "Hey, I was impacted by September helpful content, but luckily I was able to build my Pinterest traffic by that point, so my traffic remained the same." Or someone said to me that they lost like 80% of organic search traffic. By that point, they already have a very active Facebook group with like 10,000 members, and they all love those the content that she writes, and they kind of balance that loss, and that's the point. And once those bloggers have their organic search back, that's when they will start growing again. But these assets that they were able to build while they had the traffic, they will help them survive the wave, and that's the point.
Yeah, definitely. Something that I thought about during while you were talking previously was how you mentioned how your usability does impact like your rankings and whatnot. Like if you have amazing usability on like your desktop site but terrible usability on your mobile, will you still get like penalized overall?
Well,
Possibly.
usually yes, because for several years now, Google mainly is using mobile websites. So the mobile
Okay.
index is prioritized. So they look at mobile first and make their judgments based on that. So I would say you have to keep both in mind, but prioritize mobile usability for two reasons. One, it's more challenging overall because the screen
Mm-hmm.
is so small, and the second is because Google does pay attention to that much more than to desktop usability.
Oh, cool. Something else that I had thought of. You mentioned also on the topic of usability. Does Google like track how long people stay on the website? Because you said like people are not engaging with the content. So how does it know if people aren't engaging with the content?
There are different theories about that, and Google would not deny or confirm any of them. So there is
Mm-hmm.
no
Yeah.
official statement. First of all, Chrome is such a huge browser these days,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a theory that Google is using that data for their search algorithm. I don't think that Google ever confirmed that, because I'm pretty sure that is a legal issue there. If they start using the data in between their different departments, there should be a wall in between, like AdWords, AdSense,
Mm-hmm.
search, Chrome, Android, but they do own a lot of data, and there is a theory they're using it, including Android browsers and Chrome browser on desktop. So there's at least one reliable source of that information as well. The other thing is that for years, SEOs have believed that they use that pogo sticking signal. It's when someone clicks on search result, then comes back almost like within a minute or so and clicks a different search results within the same SERPs. So that is the signal for Google that they did not find any answers on the page, on the initial page. So they had to click back and go somewhere else. I don't think it's a direct signal as well. We know for sure that Google is using CTR and has been using for many years, even though they always said they didn't. Uh, Likewise, they've never admitted that pogo sticking signal was around, but that's another theory of how Google can tell if the page is absolutely not helpful. Is so many
Mm-hmm.
people go to it and then go. It's fine if people leave the page. It's even fine if they go back to search results and search for something else. That means that they found the answer and just continue their searching journey. So the
Mm-hmm.
biggest signal is when they go back to search results and find something else to click within the same search. That is a signal that the initial page did not satisfy them. And if enough people do that, that might be a negative signal. But again, those are only theories, educated theories, but we never know if Google is really using anything like that.
Google doesn't even know.
At this point, yeah, at this point, they probably cannot pinpoint exactly what
Yeah.
is to get some page ranked, because there are so many components. Like one of the signals, one overbalance the other signals, or they all contributed to one another, or there is one huge signal that overshadowed all other signals that usually that the brand, the trust in the brand that Google has. So there are so many things, and they also are balanced in weird ways. So we never know, and Google doesn't know either. I don't
Yeah.
think there is one person who can actually look at the search results and tell us exactly why it's ranking on top of everyone else.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just, I feel like the page that people will immediately bounce from are the ones that are like over optimized and over just trying to get money out of people, that kind of thing. So I guess the moral of the story is SEO is important, but so is caring about the people who are visiting your website and
Yeah,
finding that balance.
usually a very good trick here, even if you're like a small affiliate site and you're worried about your rankings, a, um, a good trick is to give answers, the main answer right away above the fold, so that there
Mm-hmm.
are no ads, nothing is overshadowing that answer, so people can see exactly what they were looking for, and they're much more likely to scroll to give this page a chance. But when people land on a page and they have to really wonder where the answer is, then they're more likely to go back and click something else, and that page may be doing a better job giving that answer. And that has been around since featured snippets.
Mm-hmm.
That back then we started talking about giving quick answers. So again, it's been 10 years, I think, since featured snippets have been introduced in some form. So it's nothing new, but it does help with page engagement, getting your page featured, and in the future probably appearing as GE snapshots as well, if you just give those answers in a very concise way and then elaborate further down the page.
Mm-hmm. So, like with recipe websites, you get to scroll past all like this big story about everything. Like, do you think it would be beneficial for them to have like something on the top that's like, click here to jump to the recipe or something like that?
I was dealing with quite a few food bloggers recently because I went to their conference,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, my idea is that I like those stories that they talk about why how they changed the recipe on, or how they
Mm-hmm.
inherited it from their grandma.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy scrolling past that, but there's also usually a click to jump to directly to the recipe.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I will not discourage anyone from telling their personal story, even
Yeah,
if it's
it's genuine and it makes it
yeah,
seem
if
like
if it's
approachable.
genuine content about,
Yeah.
then I even feel better about cooking that myself.
Yeah.
It's not as straightforward, but I would advise to give some quick information about this recipe on top. I saw bloggers that would have that card and at least time to cook, calories, ingredients,
Mm-hmm.
and then jump to recipe quickly, so there's no reading the whole story about that.
Mm-hmm.
But unless people, that's only for people who really want to cook it right now. It may not be the
Like me.
case. Yeah, it may not be the case. People may be genuinely interested in more details and personal experience with that recipe, and then they would scroll and read all of that. So it could be different approaches, and at this point you have to test different things to even see what Google likes, or what your mainly what your readers like, how you structure that page and how you tell that story, whether you add it at the bottom of the recipe or allow people to scroll quickly, jump to the recipe directly. It's up to you how you want to structure that. But yeah, it could be useful information. I don't know, for me
Yeah.
it could be useful.
I guess it's
It's
all
not as
trial.
black and white at this point when we knew exactly what was frowned upon.
Yeah.
Now it's all much more complicated. So anytime people ask me, should I do this, should I do that, I usually like, we don't know until you try. Give
Yeah. It's all
it a
trial and
try, and
error.
then we'll track that page and see if it helped or not. So
I guess you can also ask your audience like what they want. That might be helpful information too. People that go to your website, like if they do like reading that, then that's good to know that stuff.
Yeah, especially if you have a newsletter, you can always ask for people's input as, do you think that is readable? Do you think that is useful?
Mm-hmm.
So things like that, and that would also be engaging with your readers and getting some feedback from them as well. So
Mm-hmm. Okay. We have a question. I'll pop it up on here. Do you see it?
yep.
Oh,
When featured snippets first started appearing in so many result pages, I remember websites having concern that Google is essentially
oh, it's
using
not.
their content to
Oh, that's not the question. Sorry, I put the wrong
No,
one up.
that's
Here's
actually,
the
yeah.
question.
Do you
Here's the
think
question.
snippets and other answers that populate directly within the SERPs are dramatically reducing the amount of traffic that the highest ranking pages might have received? They definitely steal traffic, and there were studies about that. I think it was like 15% of traffic disappeared when featured snippets started showing up. So some people would just search, read the answer, let's say that
Mm-hmm.
how many calories in that, or I don't know, any quick answer that they could get. They would not click anything. They would just have the answer and go with it. I think SGE is going to make it a little bit worse as well, because it will give the answer even more detailed answers about the fault. But my thinking was always like, you know what, if those people were searching for a quick answer and they are satisfied with a quick answer, do you really want them on your page? Like, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That traffic was probably not for you. They would click and leave. That's all they
Right.
needed. And they would very few of them, I don't know, 0.5% of them are looking for something else. If they were satisfied with a quick answer, let them leave. I mean, we need audience that are looking for actual steps. They're
Mm-hmm.
looking for your brand, they're looking for your product. That is a valuable visitor who was not looking for a quick answer, but was looking to engage with your brand or with your product or with your content. So yes, we lost some traffic. It's bad for websites that were driven by display ads, because that is fewer views and fewer clicks. That is bad for that monetization method. But other than that, if you're selling something from your site, or even if it's an affiliate program, you want people who need that product or need that content or need that steps. You don't want people who are looking for a quick answer on how many calories or how old is someone or anything like that. So yeah, it is bad for some business models, but overall, my 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 philosophy is that if Google is satisfied those people with those quick answers, let them just be satisfied with those. That's Google's job, to satisfy their searches. So
I've actually experienced a few times that the feature snippet is wrong, and then I've had to look further. So it's not always like a foolproof method to find
that is
information.
true, because Google stole content from some website that was not basically correct, and that's why they, for many years, they have that feedback. I don't think they have it now. Feedback button on featured snippets, and they now have it on SGE as well, to collect those, like how many times did we get it wrong, and then, so
Yeah.
I guess they're still working on improving that. So they are probably on the right track with that.
I wonder if a site gets the featured snippet because they optimized for it, but it's wrong. I wonder if like they would get penalized for that, to like extra, because they actually managed to get up there, but they were giving false information.
Well, I hope Google is not that evil. I don't think that
How dare?
someone there is like after those bad cases, when someone will they probably think that it was a genuine mistake, and
Mm-hmm.
I hope so. That's what I would think anyways, like it was a genuine mistake and we happened to scrape it.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows, sometimes
Yeah.
Google surprises me with its actions and how they approach problems. And I personally do not agree with everything they are doing, but I want to hope that they are on the right track with everything they are doing. At least they are trying to help their users. That's their priority. I guess it's time for us to wrap up. If you have any additional questions, please ask them in the comments. Please contact us if you want us to look at your site, if it's been impacted by something, or if you're afraid of being impacted by some updates. We have the strategy for that. We have the brand building strategy, the topical authority strategy. We have all of that can help you generate more consistent traffic from Google. Again, no guarantees from us or from Google that that traffic will remain forever. So we have the strategy of how to create assets that can be more permanent and help you with any fluctuations of your organic visibility. So keep in touch, subscribe to my newsletter as well. Thank you, April.
Yeah, thank you. That was a great discussion today.
Thank
Right.
you.